This podcast is sponsored by Kula, creators of websites, animation, and digital art. To get a 10% discount, go to kulabula.com and put in the discount code meditation. Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org, also on BitChute, on YouTube as Meditation Podcast. I also have the Awakening Podcast, Speaking Podcast, Learn Polish Podcast, and the Crypto Podcast, and all can be found on michael.com. Today, my guest, Dutch, but living in Portugal, Michaël Bijker. Did I say it correctly?
Absolutely. Hi, Roy. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, no problem at all. So I always like my guests to introduce themselves. So you might let the audience know who's Michaël.
Yeah, so my name is Michaël. I'm mostly teaching a lot of breath work, also here in Portugal, but also a lot online and meditation. And when I was younger, I learned about the power of meditation and breath work already since quite a young age, since I was about 14 years old. But then when I was 18, I had quite a big car accident and my body was pretty messed up in a hospital. And then I realized especially the importance of keeping your mind in good shape when the whole body is broken, basically, and how to start bringing some self-healing into my life, into the body. And then after that, especially, I started doing more breath work and meditation and QiGong, these kind of things. And then I really saw the power of all these practices. And yeah, then I kept developing myself and understanding that, hey, I think this is something the whole world needs as well. And I started teaching more and more. And basically, that's what I'm doing now, trying to share this knowledge, bring it out there into the world, to bring some healing, empowerment, and balance into people's lives.
Excellent. And QiGong, what exactly? That's energy work. Is it with the hands and stuff? Is that what that is?
So basically, you have like yoga from the Indian tradition. It's very much about movements, stretching, breathing things, and meditation. And basically, QiGong is the same, but then a bit different. It's originated from China. It's about movements as well, but very slow and gentle movements. Very, very soft, no hard stretching or anything. And doing it in such a way that it becomes like a meditation in itself. And it is the idea with QiGong that you really learn to sense, like, okay, if you do certain techniques with breathing or movements, you can start to feel the energy in your body. And our body, of course, it's flesh and bones, but without energy, electric energy and chemical energy, we wouldn't be able to move. And it's about learning to really feel that energy and start to work with this. And Qi means the energy, and Gong means to work with, or to like a technique. And so it's learning to work with this energy to bring more empowerment and healing in your life. And then also one important aspect of QiGong is the meditation, to become able to be aware that you are more than just flesh and bones. You are even more than just this energy in the body. You are also a consciousness which is connected with the source.
Excellent. No, very interesting. And the
meditation. You should try it.
No, definitely. No, because I mean, I've got into the breath work and not that long ago, to be honest, which is like maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, I think at this stage, I was at an event and started doing the breath work. But prior to that, a couple of years prior to that, got into the meditation, and I have seen the benefits of both of them. And, you know, I love when, you know, people are sharing that around the world and, you know, trying to get more people to do it, because I mean, put it this way, if you go into an event, you know, whether it's Envision in Costa Rica or any of these places, you don't see any fighting or any aggression or anything like that. Everybody is like, you know, because anyone that's doing the breath work or into meditation, you know, they're kind of comfortable in their own space and they're not aggressive.
Exactly. And therefore, I truly think this is the answer to almost to everything, all the problems that we have now in the world. We try to fix it in a way by forcing maybe certain rules upon people that, okay, you should not consume too much and you should not do this and you should not do this. But I think it has to come out of people themselves. And as you're saying, the people that you meet that are really into meditation and breathwork, they change their behavior, not because somebody really tells them to, but they feel it's the right way of living, right? So I think if the whole world will start to feel more comfortable with themselves, feel more at peace, feel more at ease, and they don't need to consume so much. They don't need to make trouble with other people. They don't need to be so much in that rat race that everybody can be in, so much that competition. And then I think from that sense of feeling okayness, the choices automatically will change of people, and therefore also the whole state of the world. So hopefully this is something that a lot of people, and maybe you yourself as well, can really start implementing in their own lives, but also sharing this knowledge with others and making a nice world, a more beautiful world together.
Absolutely. And I think, like a lot of people, they're living in hope that a political party is going, or a political person, say a certain president, say in America or whatever, is going to be their savior. We all save ourselves. And when you get to that level of calmness or control, or you're just comfortable in your own skin, you fear nobody. You don't fear the police. You don't fear any. And when you see tyranny, and they cannot do that. Like, you know, I've been in a load of different, I'm fighting corruption and everything. I've had over 100 court cases. I look at a prosecutor in the eyes, I look at a judge, I don't fear them, and they can't look back at me because they know what they're doing is wrong. And I think the more people that you basically control yourself, you take control.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's because you understand that on a deeper level, you are in a way more than that. You don't have to play that game of power or of fear or imposing restrictions on others. You feel like, okay, at the source, I am a free spirit. I am connected. Everybody sees it maybe in a different way, but I'm connected with a greater thing than myself. I am connected with the source of life, basically. And then you understand, like, okay, you don't have to fear anything in this let's say this physical world, but you can stay in peace. Even if there is a lot of confusion and conflict around you, you can keep your peace with you. And this is a very powerful thing that you can do, Roy.
Yeah, exactly. And just, I mean, because some people, you know, they might be new today, because I'm actually going to put this out on the Awakening one as well. That's where I'm exposing corruption and fraud. So now the meditation, and I put out the Awakening, because I think it's actually important, because I don't believe a lot of people realize, you know, they think that by marching down the streets, they're going to get change. I mean, I've seen for the last two years, 3 million people in Berlin, and now they're gone into complete lockdown and, you know, being forced. So that's not the way to do it. So just, you know, maybe kind of reevaluate the situation. And the other thing is, I don't judge my friends. I have friends that have decided to actually get a vaccine or whatever. I still love them. You know, I don't judge them, but I still don't walk away. I still just kind of talk to them in a different, and I have seen that a lot of them have decided, oh, I was lied to. And because sometimes there's such, people are fighting each other, and families are breaking up, friendships are breaking up, because it's my way or the highway. That's not the way to do it. It's like, it has to be from complete love. You have your ideas, I have my ideas. It doesn't, you know, where are we coming from? What's the most important thing? Was the friendship from the first moment. So let's
absolutely,
you know.
absolutely. And yeah, I think if you are really in peace with yourself, then you can also accept other people's choices, no matter what you do. But if there's a lot of conflict within yourself, you almost try to find excuses to bring this conflict out, in a way that you feel like, okay, there's a lot of anger in me, and whatever happens, whatever somebody says, or if it's somebody makes choices that I don't agree with, I can let that anger and project it on that. So I can make a conflict both within myself, and I can reflect it back outside of myself. But the same thing goes for having a state of peace, of kindness, of compassion. If you have that with yourself, if you feel at ease, then also that will reflect back in the relationships that you have, in how you see the world, how you can accept other people. And therefore it's so important to I think, for people to start to cultivate this state of peace with themselves, so that they will also be more accepting to other people, more kind, and can flow a bit better with things.
Exactly. And I mean, we were just mentioning before we started recording about our children, you know, because, you know, you're saying you're at home with your young child. And I mean, my child, he's going to be 8 this month. But like when the children are around that environment, you know, they don't accept aggression and everything, you know, they kind of understand it. And there's a great chance that they'll be a higher level and develop a lot faster. I mean, I look at my child now, and he's just turning 8. And he is miles ahead of where I was. I mean, I think I was in my 20s before I got to the level that he's understanding what's going on. And I know that, you know, he's seeing how I act and how I, you know, don't let things fare me, but yet have knowledge. And I think, you know, making sure that you're not, because it's the opposite as well. If you have fear and if you're aggression in the house and attacking others, the child is just sitting there watching it, but they're absorbing it and then they start replicating it.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can tell a child you should behave like this, you should behave like that, but if you don't show it, if you don't do it yourself, it's not gonna work like that at all. The children are just copying and absorbing all behavior, and also in a way the energy, if you know what I mean. If somebody is full of aggression, full of anger, the child will absorb it and project it themselves as well. If you're full of kindness, compassion, and love, the child will start to implement that behavior in their own life. Absolutely.
And like the children have like unconditional love, and they're just looking for play. They're not thinking about what's happening tomorrow. And we've lost that. You know, everybody's just kind of planning and then worrying and worrying, instead of living in the moment and enjoying the moment. You know,
Absolutely.
like we have so much to learn from children.
Absolutely. And I think reflecting back to the situation now, that sometimes people can be so busy with the situation in the world now with this whole pandemic and everything, that people become almost obsessed by it. And whether you're pro or anti or whatever you are, but you become obsessed by it. And it starts to infect you in a way, in a negative way, because you become either frustrated with a certain group of people, or you get frustrated with the government, or you get frustrated, and then you start to build frustration and start to build in a way bad vibes, maybe anger, fear, or frustration. And this will start to, in a way, also affect the way you start to live your life, the choice that you make, how you see the world. And if you got children, maybe you start to reflect also that anger in the relationship with the children. So it's not going to help at all to make this world a better place if you start to just focus on what is all wrong with the world and fighting against it, because you build only more negative vibes, negative energy within you. And if millions of people together build up a lot of negative vibes, it will reflect back into the state of the community. It will reflect back into the state of the society. This anger, this frustration, and it won't have good results. And of course, as we mentioned before, it works also the other way. If you just think, okay, of course it's you can maybe not agree, or you can agree with however it's going, but you keep developing your inner peace, you keep developing your acceptance, your kindness, your openness that other people make different choices. And then it will also reflect back into your relationships, but also how you see the world. You start to see like, okay, it's a flow of this life. There's times in the let's say the evolution of the world, the evolution of consciousness, when there's dark times, when there's lighter times, you start to understand, okay, it's a part of this flow. I'm going to flow with it, and I'm going to keep cultivating my inner peace, my love, acceptance. And in that way, you are able to flow with it, and you are able to use the time, the period of the time that you are living in. And by accepting, I don't mean that you just say, okay, bring it on, I'll do anything you say, but you stay in your power, you keep choosing what you feel is the right thing to do, and you feel like, okay, I feel this is something I really feel from the heart, it's the right choice to make. Like I mentioned, whether it's pro or anti, all good, but you stay pure and in line with what you feel is the right thing to do. And that is very important. And then if you can really do that, then you can also accept better what other people choose. You accept, okay, I make my choices, other people make their choices. It's all right. We're all human beings living together on this planet. All good.
Absolutely. And with the different, say, meditation, what kind of what type of meditation do you teach and practice yourself?
So, in essence, a really wonderful meditation is to be able to sit, for instance, and to scan through your body, to be able to really feel how your body is feeling. And sometimes you feel maybe if you scan through the body, there's a little bit of an ache here or an ache there, but being able to feel it without judging it. Like, how does that actually feel then? It's a bit of a sharp feeling or a bit of a dull feeling or a hot feeling, so that you become able to see reality as it is. Instead of making first stories about it, that's my shoulder. I broke my shoulder 6 years ago on a skiing accident, and I should see a doctor, and it's still not over yet. And you go into all these stories that your mind makes up. But being able to just feel it or see it however it is, then you start to merge your awareness with the present moment, just feeling it as it is. And in some people, there is a lot of conflict. There's a lot of tension in both their mind and their body. And they become aware like, actually, there's so much tension in my system, but you become okay with it. Like, it's okay. And by doing so, you start to transform all these tensions, all these negative states of your mind and of your body. You'll be able to, in a way, transform them to let these tensions come to the surface. You feel them, but then they can go out of your system. But this is a deep technique. It's very simple technique, but very difficult for some. And that's why it's very good to first do some breath work, because the breath work will really help your physical body, your mind, your emotional system to open up a bit more, to loosen up a bit more. And it makes it a lot easier for your mind to be more still, to be able to concentrate. So therefore, what I teach a lot is a technique of doing some strong, deep, what's called yogic breathing from the belly to the heart to the chest, breathing in and slowly breathing out. But then also nothing too strong, not doing it for like 30 breaths that you almost start to faint, almost start to pass out, because that's also not really the right way of doing it, but just gentle. And then taking some time to just slow down the breath and making the breath more subtle, more gentle, more slow. And with each breath out, it's like you start to loosen up a bit more, loosen up your physical body, loosen up a bit your emotional system, loosen up your mind, until you come into that state of it's all good, it's all good. And then one can start to go into meditation.
And with like the breath work, because I've tried, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 different types. Soma breath, like the Wim Hof method and all different ones. And like some of them are doing it intensely, like that you're really pushing. And then you kind of go into, I suppose you'll call it a psychedelic state. Is that something that you think is not good? What's your thought?
Well, just let me try to explain quick what is happening on a physical level when you're doing hyperventilation, what it basically is. So you're breathing more than you actually need. You hyperventilate air through the body. You bring a lot of CO2 out. But your body needs CO2 for it to have the right balance in pH. So the carbon dioxide makes the blood more acidic. And why is this needed? Because the hemoglobin, the transporters of oxygen through the blood, they need a bit of acidity to be able to let go of the oxygen to the cells in the body. So if you bring a lot of CO2 out, the blood becomes very alkaline, and it's very difficult for the oxygen to be released from the hemoglobin. So the oxygen stays sticked to the hemoglobin, and therefore you are actually depriving your brain of oxygen. Another important thing what happens is that your capillaries and all the veins in your body, they start to contract because of the alkalinity. So it stops the blood flow to the brain. It very much slows it down. So actually you are depriving your brain of oxygen, and therefore you start to space out, you start to feel very dizzy, and sometimes people even faint, right, if they really push it. So people say then, well, yeah, that's a psychedelic experience, that is this or that, but it's basically just like that children's game that you sometimes, that children used to play sometimes with hyperventilating and then pushing really hard against your chest to bring the pressure up to the brain, and then you faint. It's basically doing that game. it has a profound effect in unblocking your systems, the emotional system and the mind. But on the other hand, it's on a level of getting nice sensations. It's almost like taking a drug, you know? You take a drug, you get nice sensations. Oh, you maybe see some colors, maybe you really space out, you feel tingling in the body. Woo, nice sensations. But it's not meditation at all, because what you try to do with meditation is to still the mind, not make spectacular feelings and spectacular sensations, but you want to still everything so that you are able to become aware, like, okay, there is stillness in the mind, stillness in the body. What is then left? It's my pure consciousness, it's my pure awareness. And whereas as you keep doing only strong breathing technique, you keep the mind actually very active. You keep the physical sensations very active, and you miss out on the ability to have a very sharp awareness to go into the stillness of the moment. Because I've met a lot of people who just practice strong breathing techniques, and then I say, okay, now try to breathe super slow, super calm, and feel really what is happening in the body. But they are not able to feel it because they need spectacular sensations and they need to do something strong, because the mind is so still a bit restless in a way, and the awareness is not sharp. So it has its own benefits, the strong breathing technique, but if one is not careful, he or she still stays a sensation seeker and is not able to really go into the meditation of stillness, and feels only boredom because they want some sensations to enjoy, if you know what I mean. You follow a bit what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes total, and to be honest, I've never thought of it like that, but it makes total sense. And just because I've seen people kind of getting breakthroughs and, you know, bursting out crying and everything with the normal kind of controlled breathing. Have you actually, is that possible too? Or do you need to kind of go to the pushed level? What's the best way of people to release trauma? Because I mean, there's the other side of people go to a psychologist for 20 years and they just keep reliving the moment and they're not really being helped. So,
yeah. So in a therapeutic way, once in a while, to do this, it works very therapeutically, absolutely, and it's good to do for most people. But you can see it a bit like this: people can carry a lot of trauma in their emotional system, right? And it's almost like that they try to protect that trauma. They don't want to come face to face with those feelings. So it's almost like a hard shell starts to build up around a certain trauma or bad experience in their life, or certain emotion that they don't want to feel. And it stays really hard and protected. And sometimes on some moments it comes out a little bit, but they always feel they're carrying a weight with them. With very strong breathing techniques, it's almost like you start to break open that shell and everything starts to come out. Some people might have an experience with strong breathing technique. All of a sudden they start crying or they start reliving the experience, and it feels like, they have let it out, which can be sometimes good. For some people though, it can be a bit too much. It can be like, what's happening now? I'm not prepared for this. And in some cases, people will start to feel it actually, they almost added another trauma in their lives by reliving again those feelings and emotions. But for a lot of people, it's a good thing. What I try to teach though is to not break open the shell and let it come out in that way, but to start to bring the awareness within, and very slow. Like awareness is like a light. It can start to transform things. It's like the sunlight that can hit on ice or snow. It starts to slowly melt, and that you slowly start melting. You first feel a bit of restlessness, just a bit of discomfort. You become okay with it. You start to feel like, okay, you become able to feel okay with the restlessness. Then you feel like, actually that feeling of restlessness, it's a bit a stronger emotion. Maybe I feel anger with it. You start to become aware of it with acceptance, with kindness. And like that, you start to slowly melt those hard shells around it. And maybe you become aware of a bit of pain that you carry within. Maybe you start to become aware of the tension at the source, but you bring the awareness in. It's like you bring light within that area of the heart, instead of just bringing it out for a quick moment, but you are still not able to really come face to face in a slow and gentle way with the discomfort. So why do I believe that is better? Because in daily life, we are constantly confronted with our subtle tensions that we have. We have a certain conversation with somebody and he says something that we don't like. We feel a bit of tension or anger. Or somebody cuts us off on the highway. We feel a bit of tension, a bit of anger. And all these moments, these situations, when the anger arises or the frustration or the irritation or the sadness, we normally would feel like, I don't like the feeling. I blame that person for the way that I feel, or I eat a lot of chocolate just to distract myself from the feeling. And like that, you keep going through life. Whereas as you learn in slower breathing techniques and in meditation to bring the awareness within and to become okay with how you feel, you are able to transform yourself from that. So that you feel, if somebody says something not nice, you don't like, and a feeling of frustration or anger comes up, and you know, like, now I feel a little bit of frustration, anger. I'm not going to react in it in a way thinking how stupid that person is, that he or she always says something like that, or maybe even shout at the person. But no, I'm just going to feel like, a bit of tension that's coming to the surface. I'm okay with it. And you bring again that awareness on it, and then it starts to transform. Instead of you reacting to it and becoming almost like a slave to the emotion or the feeling and behaving in a way that you after a lot of times can regret, you start to become able to just feel it as it is. That's what I feel now. That's what I feel. And then you start to become able to see every moment that you feel in daily life a bit of anger or frustration as another opportunity to clear yourself from anger or frustration, like you're purifying slowly yourself from all these negative states of being until you become completely light, and let's see that there's no more blockages in that system. And then if somebody cuts you off the road, you'll be like, no worries, maybe he's in a hurry. Or if somebody says something not so nice to you, you think like, well, okay, that's what he or she thinks, that's all right. You can feel that. So you follow a bit what I'm saying, Roy. It's
absolutely,
a different,
absolutely,
different
and I actually I think it's probably a better way. It's something that I haven't thought about because I have seen it and spoke about it with a few people on the kind of, let's say, the hyperventilating stage. But the one thing that does scare me is when you're doing that in an event, you're surrounded by facilitators, and now a load of them are doing it online. And that scares me that somebody is encouraging somebody that has never done it, and they're pushing this really, intensive breath work. And if somebody gets that kind of reaction of maybe being raped or something like that, because that I've heard of situations like that, I don't think it's actually a safe environment when you're at home and you don't have a facilitator to hold over you and comfort you and cuddle you and kind of tell you you'll be okay.
Absolutely. You can be so overwhelmed with the stuff that comes out that some people carry in with them. And like I mentioned, it can become a traumatizing experience again by itself, like a really bad trip. And they have no support whatsoever. They are maybe at home laying on the floor and not knowing what is happening. So yeah, it definitely has to be in good guidance in real life, and not just something you do online. I agree with that. But that's the thing, it has also a lot of benefits. And then it's the question, okay, should you then not do it at all, and then nobody will, or not so many people will do it, or should you still keep doing it on such a bit large scale, and maybe 1% of the people will have a bit of a bad experience, but hopefully they will get over that as well, if you know what I mean. So it's a choice that everybody has to make for themselves, of course. But I do like the fact that so many people are getting into this things, and it's a beautiful thing. One more thing about this though is that what can happen in the breath work and in the yogic practice, where a lot of these breathwork techniques are coming from, it's very much about slower breathing, about expanding, slowing down the breath to start to expand a bit more your mind, your consciousness. But people coming from a society where everything is pushed faster, better, stronger, a lot of competition, all these things, they start to bring that mindset into all these wonderful practices that are actually about calming down and slowing down. So you've seen that a lot also in the yogic practice, that you get hot yoga, power yoga, strong yoga, and it becomes very much almost like an ego thing, and very forceful yoga. You see that also a bit happening in the breathwork things, that it's about pushing your limits, forcing the emotions out, doing things with force, whereas it should be actually more in a gentle, kind, calm form. But like I mentioned, a lot of people take that same mindset as they carry that high stress level from their daily living, from the society that we live in. They take that into the practice, and that reflects back into the techniques and how they do it in that way. So we have to be a bit careful for that.
Absolutely. And I've seen, because like I've done a bit of research, and you've got 70,000 students and different courses that you've done. I don't know where I've seen it on Udemy and a few, like, but very high ratings, and actually extremely reasonably priced, because a lot of different, I mean, I've seen some of this stuff, and there's people charging hundreds or thousands. I don't know, is it something like $15 or something like that, that there's a load of courses that you have, which is brilliant, you know, that you're offering, you know, and it's not just 1 hour, like you've got a whole kind of module that you're giving.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even people, if they cannot afford it, they can have it for free. Also for your listeners, all good. The thing in life, Roy, as you might have understand, what is true richness? You know, is it having a lot of money on your bank account? No, that's not it. It's about feeling really that state of fulfillment within, being able to share with others. That is where true richness lies in this life. We grow up, unfortunately, really with the idea that the more money you have on your bank account, the happier you will be. And most of the people already know that is not the case, but really living up to that and really feeling like, okay, if you share, if you give, if you add something to humanity, to this world, you get rich on another bank account of the soul, if you know what I mean. Absolutely. So it's all about sharing, which brings true richness, true happiness on the soul level. And I think this is something that more and more people start to understand. And I also strongly believe that in life, you start to tap into a certain flow where when you start to give, it's like life starts to nurture you, starts to give you everything you need to keep on giving. You tap into a flow of things that you receive so much when you are giving. And this is something that a lot of wonderful saints talked about, and Jesus spoke about already. Things like, okay, if you give, you receive back in tenfold. So I, from a young age, I was very lucky to see my parents do that a lot. And they were very much Christian. They were giving a lot of money to the poor. And I always felt like, okay, it's a nice thing to give. I keep doing it. And then now life, thank God, nurtures me with everything that I need to keep on giving. Happy me and happy other people, happy family, all good.
No, beautiful. And I mean, I saw that, I was very lucky. My parents, my mom is unbelievable. She just constantly gives, but never had anything bad happen in her life. You know, just everything just comes, you know, like, you know, money comes in when it needs to come in, and and I mean, I went under the chase the money route in life, you know, was working hard, was making a load, had lots of houses, and then lost a whole lot. And through that journey, then just changed over. And now it's like, I mean, I'm doing a load of the podcasts, which are all free, and I'm just trying to help humanity with what's the craziness going on in the world. But I'm the same. Like, I mean, I look at a lot of the bad things that can happen, and you know, life is good, you know, and I believe that you give out goodness, it comes back.
Exactly. It's like a law, a universal law on a spiritual level, a universal law on the more subtle layer of this reality, that when you give it, you will receive back so much. Oh yeah, great to hear that you're living up to that, living up with that law of nature, because you might have experienced yourself and known so many people that have so much, but it's never enough, and they always feel like a bit of emptiness still, and they want to fill it up more and more, but it's like a black hole that can never be filled up. But as soon as you start to realize, like, okay, there is already fulfillment within yourself. If you can start giving, it's like, it's not a black hole, but it becomes a source. It's like the other side of a black hole, if you know what I mean, where everything starts to keep flowing out of.
Exactly.
And that's tapping into your source of fulfillment, into the divine source within.
And I think, because I mean, I'm seeing more people kind of going through that journey. Everybody has something happens in their life that they kind of change from that. And I like the beauty of it. Nobody actually goes back, once somebody makes a transition, if anything, the pebbles thrown into the water, the ripples are going out, that people are looking at how their life is and what they're doing, and they start replicating it and even talking to them and learning from it, that they can make the change as well.
It's such a, well, it's part of this phase of the evolution of humanity that we are in, but it's such a shame almost that we are being raised in such a way to into a system where it's very much about getting as much for yourself as possible, and then getting that richness in this economic system that we are in, which also has its own benefits. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against the economic system or anything, but we get to grow up in such a way that you have your own bank account and you need to fill it up in as many ways as you can by getting money from other people. It's that game. And then when that's really filled up, then you can live an easy and happy life. Whereas on a more spiritual level, it actually is working the other way, right? As we talked about before. It's when you start to be able to really give and share, then that bank account will start to almost fill up by itself in a way. So I think if this consciousness is really starting to shift in a lot of people, because like you mentioned, a lot of people who have experienced that moment where they were chasing the success, the money, and they were feeling like, okay, this is not really bringing me happiness, and they started to live in a different way. They start to raise their children in a different way. Other people get inspired to live in a different way. This is really starting to happen. So in a way, this, let's say, this system of getting as much for yourself as possible and this pushing away others to get yourself to the front is fading in a way for a lot of people, and that's a good thing that is happening. And really, I feel there is, for a lot of people, a bit of a shift in their perspective of what is important in life and what is not, and a shift in the consciousness, basically.
No, absolutely. And like, I know maybe not for the meditation listeners, but for the awakening listeners, a lot of them are trying to get the message out. And I just want to talk on your social media thing, because I was looking at the figures and I was like, whoa, YouTube, you've 2.7 million, Facebook, 52,000 followers, Instagram, 30, like, is that something that you consciously try to do, or did it just come in? Like, because with me, I've got, with some channels, 1 million views, with others 10,000. Like, I've tried different things and it just seems to work for some and it doesn't with others. And I got removed from YouTube from what I call spreading the truth. And even today, I've noticed on my, because I use Spotify, which is by Anchor, the numbers are going backwards, and that was happening on my YouTube as well. That shouldn't happen. That should be, but they've done that on a few of the podcasts as well. I mean, I'm going to write to them and kind of let them know that I'm conscious of it because I track it. But with your own ones, is there any kind of tips that you could help with people that are trying to get their message out, that are trying to help humanity on the social media scene?
So I think if you really have something to say because you felt it is the truth for you, and you felt like, okay, this is something, wow, it helped me really in my life, it changed my life. The importance is that you find something, or that you really connect with something that you really want to share, that you felt like, okay, this thing has really worked for me. For instance, for me, it was breath work and meditation and QiGong. I felt in my life, wow, this really transformed something in my life. And this is something I want to share. I want to help others because I feel that is something that can really add some value into people's lives. And it was never so much about just getting a lot of followers so that I can feel like, wow, I'm successful because I have so many followers or something like that. Because then it would be just about feeding my ego in a way. So as I talked about a bit before about that rule of law of nature almost, that when you want to start sharing your knowledge out of good intention, and your intention is to spread good information, to help others, it's almost like life backs you up. Things start to happen for you in a way, right? It doesn't mean that you can just sit back and just let it happen. No, you still have to do some work, but it's work that you feel like, okay, I love doing it because it's my heart's calling. It's just what I want to do in my life. How many listeners or how many likes, that's not so important. I just want to share this knowledge, and then things start to happen for you in a way. So I would highly recommend people that find really what is your why. Why is it that you want to share all this knowledge? Why is it that you want to do all these things? And really start to, let's say, live really like, okay, I want to share some transformation that I've experienced in my life through a certain technique, or I want to help others to heal a certain trauma because I felt that was good. Okay, this is what I want to do. This is my life mission. I live in line with what I feel is really the right thing to do. Then things will start to happen for you in a way also, right? Otherwise, it's just getting as much numbers as possible, but there will always be somebody who has some more numbers or more likes or more followers, and then you feel, oh, it's a competition. You will never be satisfied, right? So work hard for it, don't get me wrong, but find out what is the real reason why you're doing it, and make sure that it's really out of passion, out of wanting to share something.
Yeah, and like just done that with my own one. I remember, I mean, I'm doing the 2018, I started the speaking podcast, and just the different ones. And I mean, I mentioned with the YouTube that hit over 1 million. That was like, yeah. And then I was looking between the combination of it, and because I track everything, and I hit the 1 million, and I thought
beautiful.
Prior to that, I would have thought I'd be jumping up and I just said, huh. And it didn't bother me at all. And it's like I've even had conversations with people, because sometimes I do a show and I said, if one person listened to this and made a change, or if helped one person, would we still do the show? And we said we would. So as because I know that some people on the other side, because I love what you said, just do it and put the truth. I think that's lovely what you've actually said. And because on the opposite side, some people, if they're not getting the thumbs up, or if they think, because I mean, I know a load of podcasters, and some say, I'm only getting 30 views. And I'm like, but that means 30 people are actually listening. Don't knock yourself for it. If it goes up 33 in a month's time, that's a 10% increase. Just then, don't be worried about it. Would you do it? And when you ask people, would you do it if you made a change with just one person? They all said yes. So beautiful. I think if we kind of look at it from that kind of way, then we're not going to go, I want to be, because there is people with 10 million, there's people with 100 million, usually with massive budgets behind them and from the wrong reasons, and stop comparing ourselves with things like that.
Exactly. And do it like you're doing yourself. Do it with a sense of passion, with excitement, like, okay, because people feel that, you have, of course, your speaking podcast as well. You speak to a lot of speakers, but the audience feels it. If somebody speaks something out of enthusiasm, or feeling that they've really experienced something and they want to share it, people feel that energy in a way. Speaking and doing podcasts or showing something or making art, it's not just a thing for the physical senses. It's almost like you are transmitting a kind of energy that people pick up. If you tell a certain story in a certain way, it's like an energy that makes people feel a certain emotion or start to think in a certain way. So if you do something with passion or feeling really what you want to transmit or want to share with other people, then there will be success. And not if you try to pretend to be something that you are not really, or that you have not really experienced, or that you want to show the world something that you are not really, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And I've noticed it as well. The people that are coming from the heart, the numbers, it gets justified. It's like people know. It's like people switch off, because you can even track where people drop off. And I think people can feel it as well. You know, it's just, whether they're
Absolutely.
listening or watching, they know who's genuine, who really wants to make a difference, and who's there to help, or who's there to actually, oh, I want to sell my book, and that's the only reason that I'm coming on, kind of thing, you know. And this,
no, absolutely, yeah.
No, listen, Michaël, it's been wonderful speaking to you. How can people get in contact with you?
Wonderful. So if one wants to learn more about the breathwork or the qigong or these kind of things, they can find me on the website yogalab.com. It's yoga LAP, from the Life Awareness Project. And there they find all sorts of courses, and I do live sessions for free every Saturday on YouTube. They can follow that as well. They can just search my name. And do a breathwork course or a 7-day training program to learn simple meditation techniques. And all these courses are on a pay as you like basis, starting from 10 euros or $14 up to whatever you want to pay. Or if you really cannot afford it, it's even for free. So I would highly recommend to learn some of these techniques, and it will improve your life in so many wonderful ways. And otherwise, Instagram and all these kind of things, just search the name, and then you find some things online.
No, brilliant. And I mean, as I mentioned during the show, because I saw the reviews, all the 5-star rating as well, which, you know, when you've got 70,000 students, you know, because I mean, you'll see it in other ones as well. When people are being frauded, it starts reflecting and on the opposite side of the spectrum, and hence why I believe that your numbers on your social media are so impressive, because people are actually benefiting from what you're doing. And I love what you said, if you can't afford it, you give it for free, which is beautiful, because I know that some people have lost everything, you know, through this craziness. And, you know, I think they appreciate when somebody actually, you know, doesn't be trying to, you know, if they haven't got it, they can still actually participate. So, you know, I commend you on doing that.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, knowledge is for sharing, right? Not for business. And I think hopefully this is gonna become a normality in our society, that sharing knowledge and sharing things it's not all about money and all about business. It's about improving humanity, improving other people's lives, and that's where the true richness will come from.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, Michaël, thank you very much. Really appreciated our conversation.
Thanks, Roy. All your listeners, peace, love, and wisdom. All the best. Let's make this world a beautiful one.
So that's all for the Meditation Podcast and the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org and awakeningpodcast.org. And be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating. Really helps. Until next week, take care. This podcast is sponsored by Kulabula, creators of websites, animation, and digital art. To get a 10% discount, go to kulabula.com and put in the discount code meditation.